Hello, I'm so happy you've taken the time out of your day to step on to listen in and hope you had a nice Valentine's Day, although it was a few weeks ago. And you got some of your good chocolates you like or some pretty flowers. Today I was going to be talking about chaos and how it can snowball into keeping us from achieving the things that we are working towards. It somehow creeps into our lives, and sooner or later, it seems as if there's nothing but chaos that we live in. Some of it we are in control of it, some of it we're not. But we are very good at maneuvering through it. We become so unaware of it that we just accept it as part of life and that it's a normal function in life. Totally not realizing that there is a very calculated person of it, a purpose for it in our lives. When we get a chance to sit down, if we even have the opportunity that we have the opportunity, but we don't take it, and just relax for a few minutes, we would be able to realize that we're really not accomplishing as much as we would like to in a day. And we get it, and we're exhausted, and we can look at our clock, and it's only like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we feel like it's 9. Somewhere along the way, no one knows where, when, or how, but we are all running on empty, rushing from here to there. And when we get there, we are already thinking of what we still need to do. And the spinning mouse wheel that we're on just never stops. And worse yet, we're not even enjoying what we're doing or life because there's always something more we need to do. This is not healthy, nor is it productive, and it's exhausting, and it leads to discouragement and emptiness. And we can just look around in our world today and see the effects because this is how we all live. Very few exceptions of people aren't living like this. And usually they're pretty older, like myself probably, and they're retired, but even then they have stress on them because they don't feel like, there's just a whole another emotional things that go through people that are retired. Now for the good news. That was the bad news. But we can stop the chaos in part. We can get off that mouse wheel and we can re-examine our daily schedule in our lives. And we need to slow down, focus, and enjoy at least some parts of our life and our family and our work. The most effective stronghold the enemy has on us is our time. And in society as a whole, we never have enough time. If you ask anybody, do you have enough sleep? No. Do you have enough money? No. Do you have enough time? No. We never seem to have enough time to do or think the things we need to do. And I know that for me, especially when I was younger, when I was in my 20s and 30s, everybody was raising families and getting their degrees in college. And here was the Terry. I was just somebody's wife. And I was put in an 18-year difference of age bracket. So I went from 20 to 40 with her lifestyle. So I always, time to me was very important because I felt like if I died, no one would even know I was alive because I wasn't having a degree. I didn't have any children, so I thought I have to accomplish. I have to be accomplishing things so people will know that I'm alive. A lie of the enemy. No one cares if I'm alive or dead. And when I'm dead, who's going to know anyway? But that demon inside of me just kept saying, you have to perform, you have to perform, you have to be doing something. You can't just be a wife. You can't, it's just a constant, I can't even explain it. It's just something that is in your subconscious mind that won't go away. And when I started learning about Christianity and the Lord, I started to be able to, not to say it went away because it didn't. It still peeks its head out at me all the time. But I was able to understand that there's more to life than being successful in a business or in your vocation. And that's taken me all these years to finally really see it for what it really was. But the enemy has a great stronghold on all of us because of time. And the Lord has such a good plan for us. One, that we would accomplish so much more than we could even imagine nor do in a day, week, or a lifetime. But if you tap into his plan and his way of operating, oh, you would be amazed at what you could accomplish and the freedom that you would have, and not feeling like you're behind the eight ball trying to hit deadlines and live by what the world deems successful. God has great plans for you, and they're good plans. Jeremiah 29:11, one of my favorite verses, says, I know the plans I have for you, plans of a future and not of bad things for you. And eye has not seen nor ear heard the things that God has in store for you. I mean, God has great blessings and things we think too small. We see in a box what we think we want. God sees the beginning from the end, and he knows what he's put in you and what you can accomplish. But you have to believe that first and foremost. You have to come to the Lord and know that he's there to guide you and to let you be successful. And if you tap into that, is it going to be an easy job? No, but is the job easy what you're doing now? Everything takes work. Everything is a process. But when you get on the right path and you have someone guiding you and you know someone's with you to achieve it, it's such an easier path to walk in. Are you going to have obstacles? You bet. Life's full of obstacles. Even Jesus said, in the world you have tribulations and problems, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. Just because you're a Christian doesn't mean you have a perfect life. Doesn't mean you're not going to have any obstacles and bad things happening. But with God, he's with you and he can get you through it. And you can see the good in it when it comes up the other side. Because in Romans 8:28, all things work together for good. No matter what happens to us in our life. And Lord knows I've had it happen to me. I can look back at 74 at things that happened to me when I was 30. And I go, it was a good thing. At the time, it wasn't. But in retrospect, when you look back, you can see how each thing brought you to where you're at today in your life or where you want to go. But it takes time and age to see it. But if you stay on the right path and do it the right way, you'd be amazed what you can accomplish. Things you think you could never accomplish, you would sit back and go, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. And you'd be so much of a better person and happier with it. I had to find my notes, and I got off track here for a minute. But to tap into what God has planned for us, you have to step back, you have to focus, learn what it is that, or what it isn't that you're trying to do, and do it, and do all we can today to achieve what we're trying to do next week or next month. You have to take a day at a time and do what you can do day by day, not worry about today what you're going to do 6 months from now. You just have to do one day at a time. And if you know anything about people that were in addiction or Alcoholics Anonymous, where they always say, the prayer, God, give me the serenity to do things and to have the wisdom to know the difference. Jesus knew about the chaos and what we would have to live with. And the serenity prayer of the AA is a great thing to have in your, on your refrigerator, so you could read it constantly. But Jesus knew a lot about rushing around in the chaos and how much it would drain us. And he said in Matthew 6:24-34, verse 34 was, therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will take care of itself. Sufficient is the stuff that you have to deal with today. I kind of gave it a paraphrase. But tomorrow has its own set of problems. Today has its set of problems. So just do what you can do today. Don't worry about tomorrow, or God forbid, don't worry about a month from now. We may not even be alive a month from now to worry about what's going to happen. And this is so important for us we have 24 hours a day of energy that God gives each and every one of us. That's all we get is 24 hours. And he gives us the energy to get through that 24 hours. He knows what's going to come within those 24 hours. We don't. But if we could just learn to take it as it comes, we would have so much energy left at the end of the night. We wouldn't be exhausted. And we would be free to some degree not having to feel that pressure of what do I have to do. It's I. When God tells you, I am with you, I will help you and guide you through it. I know that's such a concept that's so foreign to people. And I know it sounds so simplistic and like, are you living in Pollyanna land? No. But when you realize that you really can't accomplish too much, you can't make yourself breathe, you can't make your heart beat, you can't make somebody change, you can't change circumstances. You have to learn to navigate and get through life with what's coming your way. And we are incapable of knowing how to do that by ourselves. In time, we can learn. But God is with us every day to help us when we go, oh, Lord, what can I do? Help me to get me through this. He can. And I know that sounds so ridiculous, but a thought might come into your mind, or you'll be able to say, like, or he'll say, stop, or just keep your mouth shut. Don't say what you're going to say. Just let it go. Those are the tricks of things in life that we don't have to fall into. You know, we don't have to fall into every single thing that comes our way. We can just step back and wait and see what's going to, don't respond. Don't react. Just let it play out a little bit and think about it. And he'll give you the things. And the more you read and the more you study and the more you look how other people do things in life, you learn. And it teaches you how that you cannot react so much and you can just respond and know when and when not to do certain things. Jesus is to be our example on how to live an abundant life that he promises us. And in John 10:10, the thief does not come except to steal and to kill and to destroy. I have come that they might have life and that you may have it more abundantly. So here's Jesus telling us the enemy's here to kill, steal, and destroy anything good, happy, or anything in between. He wants to destroy us. Jesus is coming to tell us that you can have life abundantly. I have come to give you a good life. Jesus didn't come to bring bad news and to have a miserable life. Satan's well aware of doing it himself. He doesn't need help. Jesus came to save us from it. And if people could just learn that simple statement, Jesus did not come to ruin your life. He came to give you a better life than you already have. We have a good life. Satan's the one that's trying to destroy it, not God. And Jesus only had 3 years. He lived to be 33 years old. 30 years of his life, we don't even hear about him in the Bible at all. We hear about his birth. We hear about 3 years of his life, and then we hear about his death. And that's what we hear of Jesus on this earth. And he only had 3 years of public ministry. And his mission here on earth was he had a major burden on his shoulders because he came to restore a relationship between God and man, like it was in the Garden of Eden. We lost our fellowship with God in the Garden of Eden when Adam and Eve ate the apple or whatever fruit it was from the tree of life. And Jesus and sin entered the world, and we are all born sinful. And God had to find some way to bring us back in relationship with him, but he couldn't have relationship with sinful man. So he sent Jesus to die on the cross for us so that we could have relationship with him again, like it was in the Garden of Eden. I know that might be a very hard statement for some of you, especially if you don't come from a religious background at all. It might sound cruel and mean, but the more you start to study, Jesus came willingly to do that. But my point in this study here is that he only had 3 years to accomplish that and to get 12 disciples to follow him so that he could teach them what I'm teaching you today, the Bible in the New Testament, so that we would know how to receive that gift. And somebody that had that big of a job description, you would think he would be running around with the chicken with his head cut off because he would have to accomplish something in 3 years. None of us have to accomplish anything in 3 years, let alone the magnitude of what he had to do. So the rest of this study is going to be, how did Jesus operate in life? Was he running around in chaos? Was he running over people? Was he hateful? Was he throwing people to the side? No, quite the opposite. And in Luke 8:40 through 56, I'm not going to read all those verses, and I'm just going to give you a synopsis of what it says. I would highly recommend you reading it. And the notes are on the back if you want to look at the verses I used. But Jairus was a ruler of a Jewish synagogue, and he came to Jesus one day, and he fell down while Jesus was walking through teaching and doing what he does for his 3 years when he started his ministry. And he fell down before him, and he begged him to come to his house because his 12-year-old daughter was dying. So Jesus went with him. Now here's Jesus. He has 3 years to accomplish something, and here's a man that interrupted his travels to say, please help me, my daughter is dying. And Jesus, what would we do in today's society? We could look at him and say, do I look like a doctor? Get out of here. We wouldn't give him the time of day. And yet he was losing his 12-year-old daughter. And it was important to him, and he stopped, and he knew who Jesus was. Jesus had quite a big following at that point in time. So Jesus went with him. But as he was walking with Jairus to go to his home, who knows, I don't know how far that was. It could have been a mile away, it could have been 5 miles away, I don't know. But a woman heard that Jesus was around, and she had a flow of blood for 12 years. She was hemorrhaging for almost 12 years. Well, it says 12 years. She had went to doctors, everything she had saved, worked for, she was spending on doctors, but she never got healed. And she knew Jesus was going to be coming by where she was at. So she went, as sick as she went to see Jesus because she wanted to get healed, and she knew he was healing people. So there's such a crowd around him, but she actually went and she touched his garment. And when she touched it, she was immediately, the Bible says she was immediately healed. After 12 years of hemorrhaging, she touched his clothes and she was healed. Talk about faith. Oh my goodness, that woman had so much faith that it caught Jesus off guard, because on Jesus in verse 45 of these, he said, who touched me? And everybody denied it, but his apostles, especially Peter, because Peter's the one that spoke out, he says, what do you mean, who touched you? There is hundreds of people around you. They're all touching you. And Jesus said, no, somebody touched me because I felt power come out of me. And I felt power leaving me. So he knew because of her faith. Her faith made Jesus himself feel her faith touch him and got healed because she believed so deeply that he could heal her. And he turned around and he finally saw she was scared to death. But he knew who she was now. And he said, woman, your faith has healed you. He didn't even take credit for the healing. He said it was her faith that healed her. Can you imagine having that much faith in God that he can do something for you? And he did it. And he didn't even take the recognition for it. He said, your faith is what healed you. And at this point, someone from the ruler's house came and reported to him, Jairus, that his daughter had already died. So he said, don't bother the teacher, because that's who they called Jesus, was a teacher. And Jesus, in verse 50, heard what they were saying to him. And he said to him, do not be afraid, only believe, and she will be well. And it goes on, if you read the entire story, he went to his house and he raised her from the dead. It was the first person that had a resurrection. And you don't think that went around the county or word of mouth, what Jesus did about raising a dead little girl? Jesus had those powers because he was trying, when God sent him to earth, he did the miraculous, so that people would realize that he was God incarnate, because he was. Jesus was God incarnate. He was fully man and he was fully God. But he put away God's power to know and do everything. But God used Jesus to display the power of himself. And a lot of people don't understand the Trinity. Like when I say Jesus was God, It's just like, it's called the Trinity. It's not really in the Bible, but what it is by degree. Just like every one of us is a daughter or a son, we're a mom or a dad. We could be a teacher, we can be an electrician, we can be an uncle, we can be an aunt, we can be a grandma, we can be a grandpa. But the bottom line is, we're still one person. And I don't know why it's so hard for people to understand the Trinity, because it's just by degree: the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Jesus lives within us. The God Spirit lives within us, and that's the Holy Spirit. That's the rebirth. That's why we can read these words and we can understand them more, because we have spiritual ears and spiritual eyes. It would just be like a doctor. You could be a doctor of the heart, a cardiologist, and you went to school and you know all the terminology, you know how the aspects of everything that works in the heart. But if you take that doctor that's a cardiologist and you put him into a meeting that is, let's say, like Elon Musk doing all of his aeronautical things and space, I don't even know how you say it. He would not understand what Elon Musk was talking about, because he is not a trained technician in aerodynamics and space and shuttles and all that kind of stuff. So it's why people have such a hard time saying about spiritual warfare. You cannot pick up the Bible and not and understand it as well as you could ever understand it without knowing the Lord, because the Holy Spirit is in us to reveal what he's saying and how we can learn and we understand it. You have to understand something before, when you're reading it, to have it make an impact on your life. I know I'm kind of messing this up a little bit talking because I'm off script here, but that's what I'm trying to say. You have to know. I couldn't go and listen to a doctor's seminar and understand what they were talking about. I am not a doctor, but I could go around talking about accounting, and a lot of people couldn't understand what I was talking about because they don't understand the principles of accounting. And it's the same thing with spiritual things. We have to have spiritual eyes and ears to understand what's going on. I know some of this, what I'm saying, is kind of hard to understand, but we are here to accomplish what we are here to accomplish is compassion, integrity, and characters with other people. Working our way up the ladder of success is a great goal. I'm not saying anything against that. But before you can really and truly be successful in any area of life, integrity, character, and trust is a major, major components to that equation. You can be successful, yes. You can be pushing and shoving, but at some point you will realize that the road you chose was very empty and very lonely. Once you gain what you want, your success, and treated and did things with people the way that you got to where you were at, you might have made the success, but who are you as a person and how do you feel about yourself? This is one of the reasons why the Lord has led me to do these lessons. I have had to overcome many, many obstacles. I've had to overcome shame because of the relationships and marriages, and there's a lot I had to accomplish. And in the interim of doing all that, I started a business to be able to be a mother to my daughter, because I was a single parent. Even though I was married, I took care of my daughter myself. And I didn't have time. To me, I didn't have time to nurture relationships outside of just doing what I had to do to survive. And at this stage in life, moving, especially at 70, out of this California to here, to Texas, I've lost a lot of a network that I've not ever gained here because I'm older. And when you get older, people already have their, just like you do, you have your group of people, and you really don't have time to bring in somebody new that you don't know, let alone somebody that's from a different state. And people from California aren't really that happy. People aren't here in Texas aren't really happy when Californians came here because they don't think much of that. But it's gotten a lot better. But I mean, there's a lot of stigma when you move, and especially when you get 70. I mean, now I'm 74, but that's beside the point. But God has called me to be able to reiterate some of these things that I've learned to help other people not make the same mistakes. And if that is a legacy I can leave behind, I will feel that I was very successful through all of my ups and downs and what I've had to go through to help somebody else understand and take the time to be a little bit kinder and look at the big picture instead of the just now picture. Because we're all going to get 70. If you're lucky, you're going to get to 70. And you're going to have to live with the mistakes you made. And I'm hoping to curtail some of those mistakes that you're making. You don't have to make them because you don't have to. Because you will live with the collateral damage that you caused as you were moving on in life, not thinking about other things. The Lord has used my situation to help many people, but there is a better way to go through life. And when you get to your retirement stage, you're going to want to enjoy the successes with your friends and your family. And Jesus is the greatest example on how we can achieve and live and be in that spot. Our society, we are so programmed to just get what we want. It doesn't matter who you hurt, who you step on, or you use. We see it nightly on our TV, on our iPads or our phones or the screens that we look at, the social media and any other outlet. We just look at the hate and the lies and the division and the chaos day in and day out, not only in our life, then we go home, rush home. I look at people running on the freeway 90 miles an hour, going down the road, going in and out of traffic. And I thought, I would love to take I would like to sit and take interviews of people in traffic. Like, what is your rush getting home? Because when I see of most people getting home, they rush home, they take off their shoes, eat or whatever, and then they sit on the couch and they look at their phone for the next 3 or 4 hours. Where is there rest in that? You're on your phones looking at who knows what, hearing who knows what, and it just keeps fueling all that hostility and chaos and anger within yourself. And then we wonder why we're living in the world that we live in. It's just amazing to me how we live in our life anymore. And there is no compassion, integrity, or empathy towards anyone anymore. I mean, we would just as soon run over somebody than stop and wait for them to cross the street. I mean, and I'm guilty of that too sometimes, especially when I was younger. I mean, we just like, we got to go, 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 you know. And that is not, even listening to football games this year. This year, when I was listening to the games, especially after Mahomes got hurt, I mean, people saying, oh, well, you know, he's gone, he's done, he's 30 years old, he's not done, you know. I mean, the just harsh, mean-spirited things. They say someone's on the football field, they go, oh, well, he's done, he missed that ball. They're sitting up there in the box seats watching the game, and they're not doing nothing, telling what these people down here are doing, and just denigrating them. Sportscasters. I mean, I'm sitting there going, are you kidding me? I mean, I get so frustrated. I actually mute it sometimes. I get so irritated at hearing the harshness and the meanness that people are saying about guys that are on that field playing their hearts out, getting beat up and hurt, and having somebody up there saying stuff like that. It's so annoying to me. And I look, if the Lord was here, he would be just shaking his head at people. I mean, it's just so mean. It's hateful and it's painful. And can you imagine what some of those players on the football field are feeling? And then they have to listen to that? Oh my goodness, it's just terrible. The human element is totally gone in every part of our society. And we wonder why we live with such chaos in our world. The enemy is sitting back, laughing, and enjoying all the disunity, division, and hate that we live with every day in our lives now. He doesn't like unity. He doesn't like peace. He doesn't like people to be happy. He is enjoying because this is his playground. And we are nothing more than little pawns on a chess game. He just uses man's pride, greed, and selfishness against themselves when Jesus was very aware that this was going to happen. And in Matthew 12:25, Jesus said, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. And every city or house that is divided against itself will not stand. And we see that every day. The divorce rate, people, you can't live in a home or live in a society like we live in right now, Democrats and Republicans against each other. We're all people. We all have, well, we used to all have the same values, and we would want to have life be nice for people and, not take advantage of stuff and do right, work hard, be successful, and don't expect handouts or whatever we do. But that's not the world we live in anymore. We live in a world that is so divided and so hateful that it's just not in a good place. It doesn't matter who, what, when, or where is trying to change it. The only person that can truly change it is God, and it's through changing people's hearts and start having human compassion again and looking at a human being as a human being, not if they're red or blue. I mean, we all have red blood when we bleed. I mean, we're all pretty much the same. But the enemy has just brought such hate and division that it's terrible. And this is not the world that we should be living in, nor what children should have be living with. It's not right. It's just not right. Jesus's way is the best for us, but Satan traps man, like I said, with their greed, pride, and selfishness. And his agenda is all about chaos. He's trying to keep us so off balance that we can't even realize the problems we are actually causing for ourselves. When you're always being bombarded with one fire after another, you lose sight of what's really happening, and your mind is just exhausted as well as your emotions. You get physically worn out, and the laughter and joy that you once could engage in is gone. It's lost. I mean, look around. How many people do you see that have a happy face or smile? I've been noticing that for over 15 years. When I get out of my car to go into a store or grocery shopping, no one has a smile on their face. Look yourself when you go to the store. But if they see you smile, it's amazing how people put a smile on their face. Or if you say, boy, you really look pretty today, or I like your hair. I mean, it just changes the whole atmosphere. Just that one little sentence when you're walking by somebody, you might have made their day. But people just can't seem to do that. Nobody likes to give a compliment. They're first there to denigrate and cause a problem. But to be nice and to be complimented to somebody, it's like, are you kidding me? I don't even know how many people even know how to do that anymore. But when life begins, and then you get physically worn out, and the wheel that you're running on is just going faster and faster, and you're getting nowhere. When life begins to engulf you, remember what Jesus said in John 14:27. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. Not as the world gives. I do not give you that kind of peace. Let your heart be troubled. Do not let your heart be troubled. Neither let it be afraid. Jesus doesn't want you to feel troubled. He doesn't want you to be afraid of what's around the corner. He wants to give you his peace. And that is something that I think is lacking immensely in our society. And I remember when I was like in my 50s, a pastor called Charles Stanley. I was listening to him in my car because I would used to listen to it. And I mean, I had been through so much chaos by the time I was 50. I mean, I was ready to cash it in and say, I'm done. But I remember him talking about something and he said, yeah, he goes, peace, he goes, is the barometer to let you know that you're on the right track. When you have to make major decisions and I call it static, and you're thinking, yeah, well, I don't know if I should do that. Or, if you have static, then that means stop, evaluate, and look. But if you have peace, Like let's say you're on an interview and you've got a great job offer and you have static about it, and don't do it. Just sit back and say, no, I'm going to have to think about that. But if you get an offer and there's peace within you and you go, oh, yeah, you know that that's the one to go to. And that is where we want to get to in our life. I worked so hard to have that peace because I want to know that what I'm doing is what I'm supposed to be doing, and I will have peace about it. And doing these, I have peace about doing them. Do I mess up when I'm talking? Sometimes, yes, because my mind goes 55 miles an hour faster than and I have to make notes. And I get off course with my notes and I got to find where I'm at. But that doesn't stop me from doing this because I know that this is something that people need to hear. And I feel very adamant about that. This is not something that I'm doing because I want to do this. Yes, I enjoy doing this, but this is something I feel is helping other people. And the Lord wants to use my errors of life to help other people. And if you want to have that peace in your life, I challenge you, anybody, turn off the news, get away from social media for 1 week. I know that might sound like it's cutting the biblical cord off to life, but if you would just try it for 7 days, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, you would become a new person. And the funniest part about it is you would not have missed anything from not listening to it, because all it is spewing out is hate, lies, and just fueling anger and hostility towards other people. And if you could just get away from it, you would see that the real life people, life isn't affected by the news. The news is affecting life because people we're fear-based, we are fear-driven. That's what we are based on. We are fear-driven, just like we were going to have ice storm a 3 weeks ago. Went to the grocery store, no toilet paper. Like, we're going to have snow for maybe 2 days or ice, and all the toilet paper is gone. I mean, what happens? You have to go to the restroom. I mean, I was amazed at how much the stores were emptied. And I believe part of that was collateral damage from COVID-19 when everybody's scared not going to get nothing. But for 2 days of having a little bit cold and ice and weather to cause pandemonium at the grocery stores, running to go buy food, like, really? If I didn't go to the grocery store for 4 days, I would have enough food in my house to take care of me. But people just are scared because that's what the media has done to us. And that is not the way we live. And I'm going to let go on that because I'm on a bandwagon now. But you have a great week.